Hey guys, Broheen here from the Silent Broheen channel again, and I have one really ugly bear right in my screen. This guy right here. Alright, so we're going to have another spec for you tonight. I apologize that I've been away doing some other stuff with as far as work and other things in my personal life that I haven't been able to get on here and do a video in the past couple weeks. But I am back, and we're going to do a Harbinger spec tonight. So, first things, soul trees. It's going to be 61 Harbinger, 8 Pyro, 7 Elementalist. Fill up the Harbinger tree, 100%. Your Pyromancer tree with 8, you're going to have 2 in Ignition, 3 in Improved Bolt, and 3 in Burning Fury. Elementalist tree is going to have 5 in Biting Cold, and 2 in Charged. We'll go through some of the abilities here. It's quite a lot of explaining to do, but in the end it's really simple. We have 3 main macros that we're going to use. But let's start off with the buffs first, and the other spells, and then I'll get into the macros. There's one 10-second buff, has a cooldown of 45 seconds. Essence of Wind. I use that kind of in different situations if I'm in a lot of melee, definitely PvP. Increases the mage's chance to dodge by 40%. Downfall is only 10 seconds, so that's why I don't really focus on it. In PvE, if you're a mage, you shouldn't really be targeted by a lot of anything, especially in dungeons or raids. Lightning Blade, we're going to use this one instead of Reaper's Blade. They're both really good, but I've noticed with this spec, there is one healing spell, and the Reaper's Blade allows a little bit of self-healing, but none of the healing really does enough to make any kind of difference in the whole build. So I have seen some Harbinger Coolermaster specs that have a little bit better healing, a little more survivability, but that's not what I'm going for with this. I'm going for pure DPS, and I'm sure that's what you guys want to do as well. So we're going to stick with Lightning Blade. It'll turn your weapon into a blade. I'll give you show you here. My weapons are not out for some reason, so much for that setting. And this thing looks badass. I love it. Second one is Eldritch Armor. This is going to give you your slashing attacks a 50% chance to reduce the cast time of their next ability and reduce their mana cost by 40%. Downfall can only happen once every 3 seconds. Upside, it's only a short time. Kind of a bittersweet relationship. So that also counts as a mage armor. It's the only armor you're going to be able to use really for this spec, but again, not a big deal. You'll see in a moment. As far as my action bars go, this is the self-heal I was talking about, a piddly 935 to 1033 health. Not really that great. It's there in case I feel like using it, but I doubt you ever will. Couple things to keep up on the bar. Planar Shield is nice, consumes 50 charge, and it reduces the damage of the next 5 incoming attacks by 5% of my max health. I'm not going to do the math for you because I don't feel like it, but 16, almost 17,000 health in this spec. 5% of that is what it's going to negate for, or mitigate for, the next 5 incoming attacks. Storm Shroud's kind of cool. Use that, makes you feel like a rogue. Can't see me. Blade Mark, don't really use too much very often. What it does is it'll mark one enemy, and then when you damage another enemy, it also deals that damage as well to the marked enemy, so it's sort of AoE, but not really. The downfall of this, which I don't like at all, is that it reduces the mage's damage by 10%, so it really kind of defeats the purpose in my opinion. I keep Blade Rush up here, just in case an enemy runs away from me, especially in PvP. You can, if they start running away and your Phantom Blades is on cooldown, you can quick sort of leap towards them. However, it can't be used in combat, so Again, hit or miss with it. There's another ability that works a little better for that called Phase Step, which I'll get into that one in just a second. Actually, why not get into it now? Phase Step, it'll teleport the mage behind up to 5 enemies. Another pro and con for that, it's usable in combat, is a pro, but if there's more than one enemy around, it's kind of going to disorientate you because it's going to teleport you once behind the enemy you're targeting, then move to the next and the next and the next and so on and so forth. And then by the time you're done teleporting, you're behind somebody you don't want to be behind. So using this, rushing into groups kind of sucks, but if you're going against one enemy, it's perfect to add into the macro, or maybe even make a second macro for it so you can use that one when you're doing literally single target. But for groups in PvP, take Codex for instance, not really good if your entire team is down there. You're going to teleport all over the place, and you're not going to really understand or be able to perceive where you are right at the given time when you stop teleporting. So, with that being said, my main bars include a Harbinger spam macro, a Proc macro, and the Empyrean Ascension macro. Those are your 3 main things you're going to be focusing on. Tempest Winds is huge, 20-second cooldown, 3-second channel that you can run around while you're casting it. It'll hit them hard for 13k damage, according to what it says there. Then after, what's it say? Over 3 seconds, 13k damage, deals additional 77 to 85 after 3 seconds. So over the total of 6 seconds, you're hitting them for almost 21k. Again, you can move while channeling. It requires the Harbinger weapon buff. This lightning blade should be up all the time. If you die, make sure you get it back on. Number 4, I have a distracting slash. It's just an interrupt. More so I use in PvP, or in PvE. In PvP, you do get some control abilities like disabling shock and distracting slash and glaring fetters. One of them snares, one of them stuns. It's very nice. Both have long cooldowns, but they get the job done in PvP. So if you're going to PvP with this spec, I haven't tried it yet. I don't know how it is, but if you're going to PvP with it, I would put them on your bar and readily available. Maybe make a macro for them. Put them all in a macro according to cooldown amount. Number 6 is Phantom Blades. Kind of talked about that a little bit before, but if your enemy's running away from you, you can pop this on, and you don't have to be close to them. You got 30 meters to play with. You can cast all of your single target melee spells, and still hit them from 30 meters away for 15 seconds. Should give you enough time to catch up. And like I said, if you put Phase Step in your macro, it'll give that 15 seconds will give your macro time or your cooldowns time for it to come back around, so you can teleport right to them by the time this wears off. Piercing Beam, not really necessary for this spec. There's 2 different ways you can play it. What Piercing Beam does is it increases the damage. For 1, it deals damage. For 2, it increases damage of the slashing attacks that are dealt to the enemy by 11% for 30 seconds. Doesn't stack with Ice Shear in this case. It's not really doesn't really matter. Lucent Slash will renew what happens when you put Piercing Beam on. There should be something in here called Blazing Light. Okay, Blazing Light is something you also want to have down on your bar here. Forgot that for a minute, but once you put Blazing Light on your enemy, you should, every 15 seconds, because it's a 16-second ability of life damage over time, you should be hitting Lucent Slash. That will refresh your Blazing Light. So, the one way you can play this, spam, spam, spam. Use your Empyrean Ascension and your Harbinger Proc macro when basically anywhere, whether it's PvP, PvE, or you can add in the Piercing Beam to do a little bit more damage, Blazing Light, and then refresh it with Lucent Slash. And that will increase your DPS, but however, I have seen that if you don't upkeep this and you take the time to upkeep your Blazing Light, you actually will lose DPS, so you really have to be on top of the debuff on the enemy, constantly watching it, making sure that you're going to refresh it on time. So, enough said, we're going to get into the macros here. Your Harbinger spam. Show Vorpal Slash, suppress macrofailures, cast Vorpal Slash, cast Storm's Fury, cast Rending Slash, cast Blazing Light, cast Vengeful Shock, cast, in brackets, not active, Charge Blade. Your proc abilities from Eldritch Armor, you'll see it pop up on my screen. It pops up way more than it probably should, but you're going to have cast Lightning Strike and cast Fireball. In here, you're going to want to show Lightning Strike. Again, doesn't really matter because you're going to instant cast Fireball every time if your Lightning Strike is on cooldown, but it's nice to see when you're going to have that big hit. You can anticipate it. Your Harbinger form or Empyrean Ascension ability macro. Empyrean Ascension, what that does is it transforms the mage into a powerful elemental, reducing damage they take by 20%, granting them additional temporary abilities that hit like a truck. So you're going to show Empyrean Ascension, suppress macro failures, cast Empyrean Ascension, cast Storm Nova, cast Energy Beam, cast Dancing Limbs, cast Shocking Touch, cast Not Active Charged Blade, cast Blazing Light. So, the first thing you're going to want to do in every battle, you're going to want to use your Harb form and spam that macro. This one that I have right here, also right here. And it's going to have Blazing Light in it, so if you stay on top of it the whole combat, you'll never actually have to touch this Blazing Light button. But basically what it is, when you cast Empyrean Ascension, it's going to bring up an ability bar that you can't keybind to your mouse or keybind to your keyboard, so that all these abilities that are up in here are those abilities plus a few from the regular soul tree from Harbinger. Once that's out, you're going to continue with the Harb spam, and you're going to see procs left and right from Eldritch Armor, and then you're going to hit this button once. Only hit it once, wait for the ability to go. If you hit it twice, you're going to force yourself into hard casting a 2-second or 3-second cast time, and your DPS is going to fall significantly. I've been victim of it. You might see me do it now in this video as well, because this is still kind of a new spec for me, but we're going to give it a whirl, and we are extra overpopulated here. So Raid Boss Practice Dummy, we're going to put on Lightning Blade and your Eldritch Armor. You're going to head straight in with your Empyrean Ascension. Now you transform into this cool guy here. See, there's a proc already. You're going to want to hit that proc button, keep spamming it. There's another proc. And another one. When you're in this form, you don't have to hit every proc. You can let the timer go down a little bit, but make sure you hit them here and there. And so far out of that form, we're doing about 19k. Now just keep going with the spam. Get your procs in, hit Tempest Winds, let that play out the entire way. Continue spamming again. Hit Lucent Slash to make Blazing Light. Refresh. And it's pretty much rinse and repeat. And that's about it. Your Tempest Winds comes back up every 20 seconds, so you're going to want to hit that again. See, the procs left and right. You guys should have fun with this. It's non-stop DPS. After about a minute 20, I mean, for single target DPS on a raid boss dummy, 14k is really not bad, guys. It really is not bad. So, long story short, Empyrean Ascension, right away. Every time that's available, use it, spam it. Keep your main spam up, watch those procs, and you can see I missed my Blazing Light. So we're going to pop that back on along with the piercing beam. Piercing beam only has to be refreshed every 30 seconds. And you can see my DPS loss from having to refresh Blazing Light. I'm down to about 12k. So hopefully you guys enjoy the video. If you guys have any questions at all about it or any improvements that could possibly be made, leave a comment. I would appreciate a subscribe to the channel. I know I ran my mouth quite a bit in this video. Hope you're not tired of listening to me, but there's quite a bit to explain for this spec. So we'll hopefully see you guys in the future, and have a good night. Thanks.